Hey guys, so today we're going to look at batch coding. Essentially, batch files are command prompt files that perform actions and activities, and they're a script that is set up to be executable. The extension for the file is .bat, stands for batch, and allows you to write command prompt commands and put them into a format that can be executed like a program. So a batch file can be run just like any other Windows program. You double click on it, and then whatever the coding inside the batch file is, that coding is executed. So we're going to basically, batch files are a scripting language like all the things that we're looking at right now. Python is a scripting language. Batch files is a scripting language. Over on the Linux side, we have the bash commands. Those are also, batch and bash are very similar. One's Linux and the other one's Windows, but they have a very similar function. Why you would want to learn these scripting languages: if you're an administrator, if you're an IT professional of any kind, then being able to do things like build automatic log files that create logs for processes is a very important part of the job. And batch scripting is the easiest way to do that. You don't have to have any special software or environments to run it. Everything you need is built into Windows, and essentially really all you need is just Notepad and a Windows computer, and you can write some incredible batch scripts. We're going to be using Notepad++ just like we do in Python and just like we do in everything else. Notepad++ is a really easy text editor to use. It has some good programming features that allow you to It helps you with the syntax. It color codes the text so that you can see where your keywords are and things like that. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to use Notepad++, but you can do this in Vim if you're in Unix or Linux. You can do it in any text editor and basically just create batch files all you want. We'll probably look at some bash programming a little bit later. Right now we're just worried about batch files and how to create them. So let's go ahead and go to the desktop. Okay, and once again, we have Notepad++ going here. You'll notice I've already named and saved my file. I built a folder, and you need to do this also in your C drive, called batch or batch code. And basically, it just gives us a place to keep our files. And I saved this one as batch1_1 because this is chapter 1 of or section 1 of the course, and it is assignment number 1. And essentially what we're going to do is just create a batch file that echoes or repeats some text. And just like we did in Python, just like you do in any language, the first program you ordinarily write is some sort of hello world program. Basically, it's just a program that repeats some kind of text and sends it to the console window. So let's go ahead and do that. The first thing you want to do when you're writing a batch is to turn echo off. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to go off. And the reason that you want to do that is because you don't want your commands to be repeated every time you turn around. But now we're going to go right back and turn it on because we're going to use echo. Echo is a command that writes text to the console. So when you echo something, basically you're saying whatever comes next, I want you to write it to the console. So we're going to echo hello world, just like we would in any other programming language. And then we're going to, basically that's all you have to do to write. This should open a command window and print hello world to it. So let's save it. And we're going to save it as batch1_1. And then we're going to go to our folder, the C drive, batch code, and there it is. Now if we double click on this, it should write hello world to the command prompt. Boop, and it did. Did you see that? You didn't. Well, that understandably, because it immediately closed the window after it wrote hello world. So to keep that from happening, we're going to add another, where we're going to add pause, because it needs to pause. And essentially what this will do is it'll hold it open until we click another keyboard key. So let's save that. Let's try that again. Okay, so you can see that we've echoed hello world. Now you'll notice it put the quotation marks in here. You don't have to do it like other strings. You don't have to put the quotation marks in there. In fact, if we get rid of these quotation marks and save it and run it again, what you'll find is it prints hello world. This is not, we're not designating what a string is, because batch assumes everything's a string. If you're going to echo it, that's enough to say it's a string. Now it says pressing the key to continue. If we press that key, the next thing that happens is the program shuts down. So essentially what we have here is a program that prints out hello world and then it shuts down. Now we can add some more text to this. Echo. We're going to put pause in there, because if you don't put pause in there, it dies immediately after you hit it. So let's save it and let's run it. Okay, so it said hello world, but it didn't put our other code in there. What do we need to do? Well, it says press any key to continue. So when we do that, it goes ahead and prints in our next two lines and then says press any key to continue again. So essentially what pause does is it pauses the batch script until you're ready to continue. And then once you hit another key, then the next thing that's supposed to happen will happen. In this case, this is the first line of text, this is the second line of text. Because there was not a pause between those two lines, they happened almost simultaneously. And then now there's another pause statement. It's waiting for a response from us. We hit the key on the keyboard and it goes. So that is the first and most simplest of batch files. Essentially we're echoing text to the keyboard. And you think, well, that's kind of pointless. What's the reason behind that? This is the fundamental process for any log file. So what you want to do is you want to create a text with the results of some process, whether it's you've got an FTP server and you have an automatic upload or download of a file, and so every time that process runs, you want to create a batch file that says, okay, every time the process runs, let's log it so we can keep track of how many times it's run, and also if it fails, we want to know the day and date that it failed on. Something like that. So anytime you have a process that needs to be logged, this is the easiest way to do it, because you can set these batch files up as an executable, and then inside your code, whatever application you're using to run the automated process, you can trigger that batch file to run every time the process runs, and now you have a record, and it will just keep appending to the text file until you stop it or until you are doing it anymore. So this is being able to echo text to a command is an excellent way to keep up with logs and to keep up with processes. And as an administrator, that is a very important part of your job. All right, guys, so that's our introduction into batch files. I hope it was interesting and worthwhile. If you have any questions, go ahead and contact me via the Canvas inbox. That's the best way to do it. Also, if you need to just chat about what's going on in class, if you need help with something, I'm located in the second floor of the library, room 210 by the back stairs, or you can contact me by phone 903-463-8756 or by email whiteR@grayson.edu. Have a good day, and I will see you in class.